Hi everyone, I'm Hextasy, and last month we were playing through a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Black 2 using only Pokemon I wanted to eat, and unfortunately, all of our powerhouses died just before our battle with the big bad of the game. So we had to cut the video short while I was running in circles trying to find a rare Pokemon that should be the savior of this run, and after a while, we finally find them. A Bouffalant named Wings, a powerful Pokemon that should be able to take on Ghetsis' Hydreigon with ease. Except, this is possibly one of the weakest Bouffalants in existence. For those who don't know, a Pokemon's stats are influenced by their nature and IVs, which are basically Pokemon genetics, and because this game takes place before Pokemon CRISPR was invented, the IVs and nature we have when we catch that Pokemon is what we're stuck with. First off, Wings has a nature that boosts their special attack, a completely useless stat on them, and lowers their defense in return. And on the IV side of things, these are just rough calculations, but Wings had an HP IV of 1, an attack IV of 7, a defense IV of 5, and a speed IV of 4. And these are all out of 31, by the way. But thank the heavens, Wings was rocking a bussin' special attack IV of 28. We can put that base 40 special attack stat to work now. And to top it all off, because Wings was caught in a hidden grotto, they get their hidden ability instead of one of their standard ones. In this case, it's soundproof, which is pretty much as good as having no ability for the rest of the run. Who knows, maybe I can bait Iris's Lapras into using Sing and get a free turn. But the point is, we can't rely on them and we'll have to put together a game plan with our other Pokemon. After a good bit of training, we can finally confront Ghetsis, the leader of Team Plasma. He has Kyurem take us on first, but a couple of power gems from Ham the Grumpig takes them out easy peasy. And now for the hard part, Ghetsis himself starts with Cofagrigus. We land a Shadow Ball before being badly poisoned by Toxic before we trade Shadow Balls that leave both Pokemon low. Ghetsis heals, and we use that turn to use Rest to completely heal us, and our Chesto Berry wakes us up, basically resetting the battle. Our first Shadow Ball is a critical hit, and Ham is once again badly poisoned. They protect twice in a row to rack up some damage, but we finally land a Shadow Ball to take out Cofagrigus, and Electros comes in next. So we swap to Cactus Juice the Maractus on a crunch. Giga Drain restores most of the HP we lost, but then a Flamethrower brings them low. The second Giga Drain just misses out on the KO, and Electros takes out Cactus Juice with an Acrobatics. But now we can bring in Duck the Swanna, who takes the KO with a Scald. Hydreigon comes in next, and they outspeed us to land a huge Dragon Rush, leaving Duck weak, and we land a Scald for a little damage and hoping for a burn that doesn't come. We swap out to Seal Jerky the Walrein as they use Rock Slide, wiping out half of our HP, but a Citrus Berry heals us up a decent bit. We're hit by another Rock Slide, which we live, but Seal Jerky flinches and they go down on the next turn. Wings comes in and loses a lot of HP to Dragon Rush, but we can then land a Mega Horn for the KO. Seismitoad is up next, so we switch to Oh Dear the Sawsbuck on a Drain Punch, which doesn't do us much damage as I had expected, but its Poison Touch ability activates and leaves Oh Dear poisoned. But a Leech Horn not only takes out Seismitoad, but fully heals Oh Dear before poison damage occurs. Drapion comes in next, but a normal gem boosted Double Edge takes them out with a single hit. And finally, we need to deal with Toxicroak. We land another Double Edge, but it's just barely not enough to score a KO, and Oh Dear goes down to a Brick Break. So we bring in Duck, and an Air Slash finishes the job to win us the fight. With Team Plasma out of the way, we can head to Route 23 to find more Pokemon to eat. And here we get Chicken the Vullaby, Oh, and would you look at that, there's Bouffalant on this route too. Bet you don't suck as much as Wings does. We evolve Chicken into a Mandibuzz, who I would still absolutely eat, just not as eagerly, and we move on to Victory Road, where we have our final rival battle. He starts with Unfezant, and we bring out Duck, who outspeeds them and takes it out with a single Ice Gem boosted Ice Beam. Our rival's Bouffalant is in next, and they probably don't suck, so we swap to Wings on a Wild Charge. We land a Mega Horn to soften them up a bit while we're hit by a Head Charge to bring us low, but we can then land a Superpower for the KO. Guess their Bouffalant sucks too. Next in is Simi Sage, so we switch back to Duck on a Brick Break, which they handle well. Simi Sage outspeeds us and lands an Energy Ball, which scores a critical hit and kills Duck. We can then bring out Chicken, who tanks a Rock Slide with ease before badly poisoning Simi Sage and taking them out with a Foul Play. And all that's left is his Samurott, and it looks like it's going to follow the exact same fate as Simi Sage. But they land an Ice Beam that leaves Chicken frozen. They aren't thawing fast enough, so we have to swap out for Ham, who weakens them up a bit before we switch to Sunflower the Sunflora, who doesn't even have to throw a punch as Samurott goes down to toxic damage. Well, all that's left for us to do is take on the Elite Four, and for our final team, we'll be bringing in Chicken the Mandibuzz, Ham the Grumpig, Wings the Bouffalant, and Sunflower the Sunflora. But because we still have 2 team slots left, we take a look through the Pokédex to see who else I might want to eat. The first 2 that catch my eye are Crawdaunt and Crustle, but Crawdaunt is relegated to the post-game, and I already caught something at every route Crustle's previous form is available, and there is only one other opportunity to catch Crustle, but I missed out on it. There's plenty of fish Pokemon, but I'm not exactly a fan of fish, so we'll give them a pass. Sheep, on the other hand, I could eat, so we'll be adding Lamb Sauce the Ampharos, caught at the Flockacy Ranch, to our team, and for our final team member, I'll be adding in something I won't be eating in the traditional sense. Introducing Jam the Shuckle. They mix berries in their shell, and I think that might go great on a PB&J. So, with introductions out of the way, let's get to our final challenge. Starting with the Ghost Trainer Chantal. She starts with Cofagrigus, and we bring out Chicken. We immediately go for a Foul Play that takes out about a third of its HP, and they use Will-O-Wisp to burn us. But it's immediately cured by our Rostberry, and another Foul Play fails to get the KO, and we get burned permanently this time. I don't know why I thought using Foul Play against a Pokemon with a base attacking stat of 50 would be a big-brained play, but it's not, and we're already in a bit of trouble. Chantal uses a full restore, and thanks to the burn, Foul Play does even less damage now. Cofagrigus starts hammering away with Shadow Balls, but thanks to using Roost to keep us healthy, we eventually come out on top. Drifblim comes in next, so we swap out to Lamb Sauce on a Thunderbolt, and they don't take much damage. Shadow Ball brings us below half HP, but a Thunderbolt then scores the KO, and Golurk comes in next. So we swap out to Sunflower on an Earthquake, and then a Shadow Punch that brings them low, but we can then land a Giga Drain for the one-hit KO, and it restores a ton of our HP. All that's left is Chandelure, and we switch out to Ham, knowing they'll go for a Fire-type move. But despite our thick fat ability shielding us from some damage, we still take quite a bit, and we can now switch out for Wings as they use Shadow Ball, which they're immune to. Chandelure then hits us with a Fire Blast for big damage, and we go for an Electric Gem boosted Wild Charge, and it only takes out about 3/4 of their HP, with their Citrus Berry healing them back up to half. I probably should have gone for a different move like Bulldoze, but I'm still going to blame Wings for being trash. Nothing we have can really come in on Chandelure's attacks and keep enough HP to win, so we'll have to sacrifice someone. And that someone is Sunflower. But with them dead, we can safely bring in Jam. They're hit hard by Fire Blast, but we can then use Power Split, evening out the attack stats between our Pokemon. And with Jam's incredibly low attacking stats, we nearly cut Chandelure's power in half. We bring out Ham to tank a Fire Blast and bait out a Shadow Ball before bringing in Chicken, who can use Roost to keep themselves healthy and slowly chip away at Chandelure's HP until it eventually goes down, winning us the fight. Next up is the Psychic Trainer Caitlyn, starting with the Musharna while we bring in Wings, who can outspeed it and land a super effective Mega Horn that fails to get the KO, and then Musharna uses Yawn, which apparently isn't blocked by Soundproof because Wings really needed another reason to be a disappointment. We're going to sleep next turn, but we decide to stay in while they heal and go for another Mega Horn, which we miss. Wings, you have failed me at nearly every turn, and when you die, I will celebrate. We switch to Lamb Sauce as Musharna goes for a Dream Eater, which doesn't affect us since Lamb Sauce isn't a dingus that fell asleep on the job. We get a Signal Beam off while they use Yawn again, so we switch to Chicken, who is also hit by a Yawn, and yeah, it's this kind of battle. We keep switching out until Musharna uses something that isn't Yawn. It must have run out of them at last. We bring Lamb Sauce back in, and oh, I guess they weren't done yawning yet. Cut forward another few minutes, and they've actually run out of yawns. Lamb Sauce can handle a few charge beams, and then can take out the Flying Fetus with a Signal Beam. And next in is Reuniclus, so we set up a light screen before being hit by a Psychic, and then switching to Chicken on a Psychic, which they're immune to. We land a Foul Play for solid damage, and they land a Focus Blast for negligible damage. Chicken then takes out Reuniclus on the next turn, and Caitlyn brings in a Pokemon that isn't a fetus, a Sigilif. We U-turn to Lamb Sauce on an Ice Beam, and then our light screen wears off, so we try to set up another, but are hit hard by a Psychic, leaving us with just 5 HP. Chicken comes in on an Air Slash that hardly hurts us, and Sigilif goes down to a few Foul Plays, and in comes her final Pokemon, Gothitelle. We outspeed and land a Foul Play, taking out close to half of their HP, and then they use Psychic for some reason, which we're immune to. Another Foul Play leaves them with 1 HP before their Citrus Berry heals, and they use a Thunderbolt for solid damage, but it's too little too late, and one more attack takes out Gothitelle to win the fight. For the third Elite Four member, we'll be taking on Grimsley, the Dark-type trainer. He starts with the Liepard, and we bring out Chicken. They hit us with a Fake Out, causing us to flinch, and then Liepard starts hitting us with Aerial Ace for minimal damage. This thing isn't a threat, and Chicken quickly takes them out. Scrafty is in next, and they're badly poisoned before landing a Rock Tomb for surprisingly little damage. We can spam Roost to keep us healthy, and since we're slower thanks to the repeated Rock Tombs dropping our speed, we won't have to worry about Scrafty landing a surprise fighting type move while Roost removes our flying type. They quickly go down, and in comes Crocodile. They land a Dragon Claw for decent damage, but then gets badly poisoned. Their second attack brings us into KO range, but thanks to Roost, we're healed up and safe again. We just need to stall a little longer, and Crocodile also goes down, and all that's left is Bisharp. We swap to Wings, who's hit by an X-Scissor for decent damage, but they outspeed on the next turn, and a superpower is a one-hit KO. Finally, Wings does something right. The final Elite Four member is Marshall, the fighting-type trainer, and he is one I've always struggled with, which is why we saved him for last. He starts with Throw, and we bring in Lamb Sauce. We immediately use Thunderbolt to take out just under half of its HP, and we're hit by a Rock Tomb for little damage. They land a Payback, which activates our static ability to paralyze Throw, which seems like it might be a good thing, but thanks to Throw's Guts ability increasing its attack while it has a status ailment, it really isn't. Luckily, our next Thunderbolt brings Throw low enough for Marshall to heal them. We spam Thunderbolt from here while tanking blows, and eventually Throw goes down, and Mian Xiao comes in next. And this boy knows Retaliate, a move with doubled power if used the turn after an ally faints. So expecting that, we switch out to Wings and... oh, Frab just a Kalu Kalay, Wings is dead. We bring out Chicken and try for a Toxic, but Mian Xiao uses a U-turn and switches to Conkeldurr, the worst case scenario since they also have the Guts ability. We spam Roost while tanking some Stone Edges, and after Conkeldurr misses, we use U-turn and switch to Ham on a Hammer Arm, dealing a huge amount of damage despite it not being very effective. Poison brings their HP down low enough for their Citrus Berry to activate to heal them a bit, and we go for a Psyshock, which just barely misses the KO, and a Stone Edge kills Ham before Conkeldurr goes down to poison damage. Marshall then brings out Sock, and we bring Chicken back out. We hit it with the Toxic and stall with Roost while they use Rock Slide, but Sock eventually succumbs, and all that's left is Mian Xiao. They land a high jump kick for a lot of damage, and we hit our Toxic. We just need to survive a few more turns now, and we swap to Jam on a high jump kick, who loses more than half of their HP before their Citrus Berry heals them. This lets them barely survive another kick, and they can land a power split to lower Mian Xiao's attack. Even so, Jam isn't surviving another attack, so we need to get them out of there. We swap to Lamb Sauce, but unfortunately they don't survive the high jump kick and go down. So Chicken comes in and Mian Xiao uses Bounce, giving us a free turn to heal up with Roost. Mian Xiao comes back down, dealing little damage, and a foul play takes them out. That's all the Elite Four members down, and all that's left is to take on the champion, Iris. But since we only have 2 Pokemon left, I'm not hopeful, but let's see how things go. Iris starts with her Hydreigon, and we start with Chicken, cause what else are we supposed to do here? We're hit by a Dragon Pulse before poisoning it with Toxic, and then we do our usual shenanigans and spam Roost until Iris heals up Hydreigon, and then we repeat the whole process over again. But Chicken eventually wins, and Lapras comes in next. We hit Lapras with a Toxic before Ice Beam brings us pretty low, but we can spam Roost to heal us back up until Lapras misses a Sing, so we can go for a foul play, and then they miss a second Sing. We then use U-turn to take out Lapras, and we bring out Jam as Iris brings in Druddigon. It hits us with a Rock Slide for big damage before our Berry heals us, and we use Power Split. This lets us survive the next Rock Slide off of just 5 HP, and we can land a Toxic before Jam goes down to a Flamethrower on the next turn. Chicken, our final Pokemon, is back in, and lands a Foul Play for big damage before dodging a Rock Slide and taking out Druddigon on the next turn. Archaeops is up next, and she lands a Rock Slide for a ton of damage, and we can then use Foul Play, dealing just as much damage to them. Thanks to their Defeatist ability, their attack is cut in half when their HP is below half. So we survive the incoming acrobatics, and we're safe to use Roost. We reach full HP and decide to go for a Foul Play, but Archaeops uses Endeavor, a move that sets our HP to theirs, so we're brought down to just 34 HP before we take out Archaeops, and we're healed a tiny bit by our leftovers. Iris's 5th Pokemon is Aggron, and we outspeed and use Roost to heal up before Double Edge hits us hard. This would normally deal recoil damage, but thanks to Aggron's Rockhead ability, it is immune to recoil. And our Foul Play hardly hurts Aggron, so Chicken quickly goes down despite their best efforts, and we lose the run. Despite how little we had to work with, I think there's a chance we could have beaten Iris with just Chicken if Jam had known Gastro Acid, a move that removes abilities. But without the Chuckle Shock sacrifice, I'm not entirely sure we could have gotten past Druddigon without some incredible luck. But Chicken was putting in a Herculean amount of work in that fight, so maybe they could have done it. But anyways, I've been Hextasy, and thanks for watching.